Hello, everybody. I am Hyper-G with lucky sixes
Yo, yo,
for
yo, yippee, yo,
some.
yippee, yay.
Very good. Did you get that from the Trolls movie, or just because you decided to say that
I'm
groove?
sure that's like a generic rap thing
Probably
rather
is,
than.
but it's
Well, I've
also
got
in
my
the
bling
Trolls
on and everything. I'm in
series.
a tracksuit.
Yeah, I
Right.
know. It was very good. Someone bought you
Super.
that for, I wasn't going to say Christmas, but it's a little way past that.
Very much so.
Yeah,
Christmas was the
very good.
start of Old World. We're well into it now.
True. That is very true. Yeah, we are. We're 3 months in fact.
We
Pretty
are, and we
much,
are.
give
The,
or
the
take.
games are coming thick and fast, and today's
Mm.
no exception. We do Tomb Kings in a.
Yes.
They need a better run out than last time. Versus Warriors,
Yeah.
which was in the very first battle report. So nice to go back to them and see
Hmm.
what tweaks and stuff were made out of that, which
Yeah.
is cool. We start on the Tomb Kings, not double dragon, unfortunately.
No, no.
Um,
Dropped that mainly because I can't look after a Hierophant on a dragon.
mm,
Clearly, from my first game with them. Um, yeah, I dropped the idea of a level 4 plus a couple of level 1 summoners, so to speak. And it's not actually called summon in Old World, but a rising basically.
mm.
The idea between the first list was three, lots of arise and lots of ambush and beneath the sands, that sort of thing. But the scenario did mean that that was relatively unplayable. What happened? And obviously, if you're going to play the scenarios, maybe you should try out something different. And I wanted to try out something different anyway,
Yeah,
which is kind of what we're doing in the night in in the old world at the moment. It's a bit of a slip there. So yeah, I dropped the Hierophant, the High Priest on the dragon. I kept with the Tomb King on the dragon, and I kept the Flail of Skulls, which I kept from last time.
mm-hmm.
But I did stick a Bedazzling Helm on him, so he's -1 to hit in combat and -1 to hit in the shooting phase as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um, and being on a dragon, of course, it does mean that he's got was it 9 wounds? I think it was 9 wounds in total, which is just insane.
yeah,
Um,
really good.
Obviously, when he came up against the High Elf Star Dragon, those 9 wounds swiftly disappeared. But hopefully not this time around.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. But what's probably intriguing at this stage of the battle report is I've paired him up with a Royal Herald on a skeleton chariot who has got the BSB upgrade, which is slightly different to normal BSBs in Old World for Tomb Kings, um, because effectively he gives a reroll to leadership checks, which isn't that often for Tomb Kings. But it happens a couple of times. There's a few things that need leadership checks. Um, and also, I've given him Shield of the Warrior True, which means he's got a 5 up ward save in the shooting phase,
Hmm.
which is quite
The
useful because he is.
the Tomb King, should say the Tomb King BSP also adds the D3, doesn't it? To
Yes, true. Yes. So yeah, instead of what's the rule? I've forgotten the name of the rule. Um,
so it stops you
uh,
crumbling by
that that
D3.
that rule. Yes, exactly. Instead of whatever your set rule is.
Yes. So
So a
most of
lot a
them
lot of
are
the models have one.
yeah.
Characters have two. Some things have more than two. And this guy means that you get indomitable is the rule I'm looking
Yeah.
for desperately. So yes, and basically it says that you use the highest of the two when you've got the choice.
Yeah, which is
So
great.
basically, you always roll the d3, and if it's higher than your actual natural value, then obviously you're going to use the d3, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
But there's a little funky rule that the Royal Herald has got, which I really wanted to see the effects of, which is Sworn Protector, which is basically that if any Tomb King's monarch, which is a Tomb King or a Tomb Prince within 3 inches of him, he can take the hits of those monarchs, basically, if he's
Yeah.
within 3 inches of them. And because he's on a skeleton chariot, which gives him an extra 3 wounds for a total of 5, if he stays within 3 inches of the Necrolith Bone Dragon, effectively, my Bone Dragon has now got 14 wounds at
Yeah.
toughness
And
6.
we worked out that the high priest obviously can heal or rise or
Yes,
whatever you're calling it.
Arise, yeah.
Um, uh, 4 back on him. and we don't see
Yes.
any reason why he couldn't.
No, exactly.
So
that. Yeah.
he has 5 wounds. If you get him down to 1 wound, you can heal him 4 with 1
Yeah.
leadership check.
Yeah, because his type
Which is,
is
of course,
Chariot.
is re-rolling.
Because of the Royal Herald. So that's quite cool. I mean, and just to clarify, that isn't healing 4 wounds back on the dragon, because the dragon is a behemoth that only recovers
Indirectly.
1. But because you're healing the Herald, who's taking the hits of the dragon, then yes. Yeah. I had to reread this so many times when I found this. And I don't know if anyone else has found this. Maybe people will say, oh yeah, my guy down the club has been playing this for weeks. Maybe. But when I found this, I was like, this is insane.
It's really good.
I've got to play it. So yeah.
Yeah.
So carrying on with the rest of the list, because there's something else in the list too, you know. Because that Herald, for all he's doing to this list, only 150 points.
Crazy.
High Priest,
just crazy.
Level 4, Elementalism. It is. He's got the Hieratic Jar, which is still he can cast. He can do a rise twice in 1 turn if he wants to. I mean, that's even more reason to the synergy going on there. And Talisman of Protection, so he's got a 5-up ward save. I've got the core unit of Sepulchral Stalkers, just 2 of them, with the Ambusher special rule, so they're coming on as Beneath the Sands. I've got a bigger unit of Skeleton Warriors, basically as the bunker for the High Priest. That's all their function is. Just basically put in enough numbers to take a few magic missiles and be able to arise them back if I need to. And then this is another interesting one that I've thrown in out of left field. 8 Tomb Swarms.
Yes.
Because combined,
1 big unit.
They have 40 wounds. And when you're rocking a rise and you can heal back, is it D3 plus 4? I think
D3
it is.
plus 4 on them, yeah.
Not bad. That's a lot of wounds potentially. I mean, their stats are,
and they're unbreakable, right?
Which is well, everything's unbreakable.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So yeah. Then I've got 4 Tomb Scorpions because they're cheap as chips, like ridiculous.
So good.
I didn't pay for ambush on any of them, so they're all going to be deployed as normal this time around because it's just safer on my brain. And then I've got 2 Necrosphinxes, one of which had an envenomed sting. I think the second Necrosphinx is technically 195 points instead of 200. You pay 5 for it, but
it is.
Either way,
got that wrong.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all good. It's all good. In case people look at it and they're like, actually, your list was 2005 points,
and they will, and that's fine.
They will, and please do, please do. Yeah. You know, no, it wasn't. It was 2000. But yeah, right. I'll let you talk about your list now because
it will be very quick.
About my Royal Herald.
I know, yeah. We looked at it and go, well, that's a really good. We thought it was a very good list. Yeah. However, Warriors also did very, very well last time round and can pack a punch. They are more elite. They have more expensive units. But we start with the Chaos Lord General. We put the Demon Sword on him, Favor of the Gods, and we have a Slanesh look to him and the Exalted Champion because they're now going in the Slanesh Chosen because Slanesh obviously gives them +1 agility in the first round of combat. Is it first round of combat? It might be always actually, but I'm not sure. Yeah. Enchanting Aura also gives anyone in base contact with them always strikes last, which means the Chosen start on 4, go up to 5, and things that are always strike last start at 1 and go maximum up to 4, unless they're in the flank, and then we have another problem with that anyway. So they should always be striking first, which just means they're amazing, I think.
Yeah, because they've got the stats to back that up.
Yeah. So he also has always strikes first, I think, with Enchanted Aura as well. But otherwise he's pretty good. Exalted Champion is BSB with Banner of Rage because they're going to be in the Chosen. They have to charge because of Frenzy, which they then have through the Rampaging Banner later on. So I may as well. No. So this gives them Frenzy,
not quite,
and the Rampaging Banner gives them reroll charges. So that's the synergy there. He has Biting Blade, Favour of the Gods, and Slanesh. Sorcerer Lord, level 4 on Demonology, because that worked well last time. Diabolic Splendor is -1 to hit from shooting, which won't come into contact too much here. Ruby Ring Ruin, spell familiar, so 6 spells with Nurgle going in those Chaos Nurgle Warriors with Shields, Champion, Standard Musician. Kind of like a bunker, but also a pretty good unit with all the spells that he has. Chaos 7 Khorne Chaos Knights with Lances and Razor Standard for some more AP when needed. Chimera with most of all of the extra change that he has on him. And then to finish off, a Corby's Chariot with Khorne, because I quite like chariots. I think chariots are decent. All like fairly expensive, nothing under 100 points, so which is not a rarity in Old World. So they are an expensive thing and not meant to them, but they pack a punch. So
definitely do.
We played Doom of Odo Tormaya, which is you have to be in the center, and Breaking Point, which basically means if you get 25% of your army list, so 500, in wounds, rather than 500
in unit strength.
Then you just lose. So
it's game over. You're done.
Absolutely.
You loser.
This was deployment, and carrying on the warriors as they're fresh in our minds. We have the Chimera right out on the left, the warriors with the Nurgle wizard on the left, the chosen unit in the middle with both characters of Slaanesh, chariot, and the knights. And there you go, nice and simple.
Warriors are nice and simple, exactly. So one thing that I think the commenters for the Tomb Kings in the first battle advised was actually that the Scorpions are wider than they are deeper.
It caught us out, didn't it?
Caught us out because we didn't even look, but that you are absolutely right, people. So as you usually are in the comment section. I've deployed 2 Scorpions on the left as we're speaking. They're facing off against the Chimera. Then I've got a Necrosphinx. I believe that was the one without the Envenom Sting. I don't know, maybe. I can't remember. Then I've got a big row of the Swarms just all along the front because that looks fun. And obviously the silly line of they ought to be within an inch of each other, so that's legal.
It's legal, baby.
Then the Skeletons with the High Priest behind them. You can see the High Priest on the right of that unit. Then I have got the Royal Herald. Bigged him up a lot. Then I've got the Necrolith Bone Dragon, another Scorpion just facing towards the other side, and then a Necrosphinx and a final Scorpion. You can see on the right-hand side, the Sepulchral Stalkers are going to be ambushing, so they're not actually on the board yet, the 2 dinosaur models. They will be appearing as soon as I can get them on, hopefully.
Yeah. And in my first turn, I do exactly this. It was pretty much as fast forward as possible. But I didn't march with the wizard. Pretty much.
Because you wouldn't have been able to cast spells.
Yeah.
But it should be noted, actually, you didn't roll the fly spell, did you? You wanted it.
I didn't, no, which was a huge one. So, which is the number 1, which gives you a fly 12, which obviously
I think it's fly 10.
By 10, which
whatever it is,
a March 20, which would have been great with my chosen, but
of course.
And with any sort of infantry really, if you want them into combat, it would be great, but not to be. So we crack on without it. You can see the Gaze of the Gods, the Goose, there with 4, 4, and 5. The General being the one in the middle with 5, so that's pretty cool.
I think he re-rolled to get that as well, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Re-roll?
He used his re-roll early doors. But yeah, it's all there. And then we also got Demonic Vigor on the right, on the Chosen, and to give them a little bit extra movement, so they're a bit ahead of the Warriors, with Demonic Vessel on them, but it doesn't really matter. I realised at this point, I was like, it's at the end of the turn, I keep forgetting. So
I think that can catch a few people out, can't it? At the end of the turn or until the start of your next turn.
Yeah,
you have really got to read that because it makes a big difference to when you're going to be using
it.
Spell. So,
it does. And they're very specific. There's like not a what do I mean? One way of
Standardized,
standardized thing of that saying that.
standardized way of it being written.
Consistent's
Yeah.
the word I was looking for. Anyway, on to shooting phase, and my magic missiles and vortex come down. You only get one wound off on the
he's pretty tough.
Necrosphinx, so don't get used to that wound. There. Then immediately the vortex moves out of the way.
Of course, because obviously vortexes are amazing.
I have 8 games. 8 games in. Not impressed with vortexes. Can you please tell me your stories of vortexes doing anything, in the game, anything of any note? Because I've heard lots of things from other YouTubes and stuff like that about vortexes being well good and OP even, and they just are rubbish. In my opinion, they're just crap.
I mean, the rare occasions when they do touch something, they don't wound them anyway. I mean, I know this would have been strength 3 if it had hit my Necrosphinx, but which probably wouldn't have done much.
Yeah. But, now, granted, we've only seen maybe 3-4 different laws, so we haven't explored all the laws. So there may be some vortexes that are good, but so far not so good for the vortexes.
Nil point. Yeah. Agreed.
And on to the Tombkins' turn.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Lucky Sixes said to not get used to the wound on the Necrosphinx. That's because that was the only target that I could use Arise on. So I did Arise, which of course was rerollable because of the Royal Herald. So that's a leadership test at the start of your turn. So Arise healed the wound that you worked so hard to get on that Necrosphinx. I also could bring up my Sepulchral Stalkers. You can see they've now joined Necrosphinx on the right-hand side. And that was a rerollable test as well. Royal Herald. I'm going to just keep on mentioning everything the Royal Herald is giving me. Technically, I don't think I needed a reroll for all of them, but he is giving a reroll on that leadership 8. Very handy indeed. And you went super aggressive with your Chimera on your left as we're looking at it. So I just charged, and I think you kind of I'm not trying not to spoil this one too much, but you kind of were intrigued how it went, but didn't necessarily think it was going to go your way. Is that fair enough to say? You were intrigued.
I have a lot of attacks. The big thing with them is they have Monster Slayer.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. For a 70-point model, is incredible. And they got 4 attacks each?
The Scorpions, yeah.
So we're same weapon skill, I think. So I think you're hitting on 4s, and it's whether you can. So on average, you get 4. If you don't roll a 6, I've got 8 attacks coming back at you. So I'm like, if I just survive, then I can do some wounds, hopefully crumble you, then I'm good. I've got you, even if it's over a couple of turns, then we should be okay. But if you roll a 6, I'm done. So.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking to make sure we're right on this because I remember it being 4 attacks each, and it is. One of those attacks can be Strike First with Envenomed Sting, but that doesn't have Monster Slayer or the Killing Blow Monster Slayer rules. So, and I didn't need to use that because I was attacking first anyway because I was on the charge. So it made sense to do them all with the Decapitating Claws.
You just wouldn't. You just in this scenario, you just wouldn't use Sting.
Exactly.
Do you have to?
Exactly. No, you can make one of your attacks with the Sting.
Yeah,
if you want to.
They do have Monster Slayer chance. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. When you're against a monster, especially. Yeah. So yeah, in Tomb King's turn 1, the Vortex kindly moved out of the way as we saw, and I kind of just went with my charges with the 2 Scorpions on the left as we're seeing it. The Necrosphinx on that side did a massive wheelie fly move to stand behind the Chimera just in case the Scorpions couldn't get it done. But I wasn't really sure whether that would be needed or not. The Tomb Swarms moved up just enough to cause the Chosen Warriors a frenzy charge. I think they would have needed a 6 on the dice in order to complete the charge. So the idea was very much just to bait that frenzy charge and kind of hope they don't roll a 6, or if they do, deal with it. And the way I basically went about dealing with it was to make it so that if the Chosen Warriors did get in, they would be facing the dragon, basically, as opposed to going into the skeletons or the Royal Herald, who is obviously quite important to my battle plan. And on the other flank, I basically stayed put because I didn't really know what to do about the Chaos Knights on the hill. They looked a bit menacing, and they've got a long charge range. So I just held fire on that side of things at the moment. And yeah, I brought the Stalkers up for kind of there for two reasons. One was because I didn't really have another plan for them, and two was because I left a nice little space and they fit. So that's where they went. Yeah.
Over here, you did roll the 6.
I did roll a 6, but I only rolled a 6 with one dice. I think
you did. So and you hit with 4, like as average.
8 attacks,
and
4
of
hits.
those 4, one of them was a 6.
One was a 6.
What are you gonna do?
Allows no armor, allows no regeneration.
He did nothing. Yeah. So didn't get all of his attacks. Game over. Fair play. But on another day, he could have done something. Perhaps, arguably, a bit aggressive. But with both of you, with 4 Tomb Scorpions, you're gonna like. I don't think I'm able really, and putting them on the flanks as well. I can't go around you.
No.
What am I gonna do? So
yeah.
This vortex then moves to the side.
And does moves around them. Of course. I think you actually chose to dispel it this time, didn't you? Afterwards.
Afterwards, yes. In terms of Gaze of the Gods, we got 654, so some pretty decent gaze at the minute.
Yeah. Very good.
And then we declare some charges. Now, this is halfway through the charge phase.
It is.
I guess.
Having fallen down the hill.
Yeah. So initially, declare the charge with my chosen, obviously, because I have to. Needing a 6. And I've got a re-roll as well, so it's technically a similar position as yourself. I need 1 6 from 4 dice.
Yeah.
Because of the re-roll on the 2.
Yeah.
Then I've got the Knights and the chosen... No, Gorebeast
chariot.
Going into the Tomb Scorpion.
No. Did you go into the Scorpion?
I did.
Your Knights didn't go into the Scorpion. Oh, yes, they did, yes. Yes, they did. They both went
so to do that as well. So the reason I say it's halfway through is because those 4 dice next to the chosen are representative of their dice. I didn't get a 6, I'm afraid. No, which was sad because actually, if going back a couple from here, if I do get in, there's not really much in the way of counter charges.
No, not at all.
I'll go in, do a bunch of wounds, go line hammer. Get even more, and then I'm pretty. Then I'm free for my turn. So if I had got that would have been huge, I think. But not to be, and I'm still pretty aggressive going forward. So that's where I end up. But there you go. Yeah, needed 6s. Needed a 6.
Yeah. Oh yeah, nice. And I think the difficult terrain was a factor in that as well, because you got -1 movement because of the terrain, but then you got the spell off, didn't you? Or was it? Did you get the spell off in this one, or did I dispel the spell? You didn't get the spell off. Oh yes, I used the dispel dice to stop that one, which meant that the 5 didn't do it. That's right. Yeah, because I think
but the other 2 do get into the Scorpion, as you'll see in a sec. In terms of the shooting phase, I do 7 wounds on here because there's not really much else to shoot at. So I go for it and do 7 wounds. So fair enough.
Yeah, not bad.
I go in over this way. Oh, I don't get in with the chariot. Actually.
No, you didn't get in with the Gorebeast.
It's one thing to remember. But I do get in, smash up the Scorpion, and go into the
Necrosphinx.
So let's see how that. I'm interested to see how that plays out as well. I'm on the charge. I've got a load of attacks. Looking pretty good.
Yeah, agreed. And that one concerned me.
Yeah, and over here it just shows that we are slightly out of arc as well, which even better,
dragon.
From my point of view. So we've only got the Tomb Scorpion. Excuse me. If he wants to go in,
you were definitely able to maneuver the Knight charge to know that you were going to be out of the dragon's line of sight.
Yeah.
But obviously, you started your turn so far back. I could have prepared a bit better for it, but I definitely didn't. So yeah, and you exploited that really well. So yeah, nice.
But yeah, so there's that over there. You in your turn, you get the wins back, and you roll a 3.
Of course. I rolled exactly what I needed to get all the Tomb Swarm back up. Yeah. I don't have Plague of Rust, by the way. Plague of Rust was not the spell I rolled. I think was it? What's Entrenchment? No,
it's whatever the
barricades.
5-up ward save.
Yeah, yeah, and you can't charge yourself or something like that.
Earthen ramparts, is it?
That's the one. Yeah, yeah. In elementalism. Yeah,
yeah.
Correct. So I get that on them. I knew I wasn't going to charge the swarms in to the chosen. That would just be silly. The longer they can stay alive without the chosen fighting them, the better. But yes, I get that spell off at the start.
As well as the heal. And then you charge over your own.
Yes, I believe I increased the movement of the dragon using my will be done, an extra D3 movement, I think it was, in order to make sure that I could get this charge off. Obviously, making use of the fact that the Gorbies failed the charge on the Scorpion, and also by completing this charge, I would effectively be a real problem to the Chosen, who I was kind of hoping were now going to be a little bit speed bumped by the Tomb Swarms. Giving me enough time to, redirect and kill a few of your things in return. Because obviously now I'm looking pretty strong, having killed the Chimera on one flank. So I've got a whole load of units on that side that I can bring round. So I was just kind of thinking, keep the Chosen busy for as long as possible, while I can deal with a few of the other threats. And also, of course, if the Chosen, the Chaos Knights on your side were causing me lower problems, now I can get the Dragon involved. The only downside, of course, is Plan A, which is keep the Royal Herald close to the dragon. I've kind of left him behind. I couldn't. I mean, it should be noted that the chariot, although Tomb Kings can't march, which is a thing, chariots can march. Tomb Kings can't, unless they have fly. The chariot has, most chariots have reserve move, which means at the end of the shooting phase they can move again. So effectively, they can march and bypass that, which means I could keep up. It's a nice bypass of the rule, which means technically my chariot can keep up.
There's a surprising amount of Tomb King stuff that can charge. That can march, sorry.
That can march, exactly. Yeah, I'm very much exploiting that in this. But I didn't feel that there was anywhere I could get my Royal Herald that was safe, so I kept him back in this situation. Elsewhere, I don't think I moved much other than to move my Scorpions around, and my Necrosphinx does a complete circle, basically, of turning back towards the battle. And I don't go in with the Tomb Scorpion onto the Chosen Knights, because that would be suicide, because you're on the charge and you're attacking first. And yeah, I think I would have been in the front from where I was originally, whereas this time I've gone round the side to the flank, which is a lot more healthy if things hold on there. The Tomb Swarms are just stood in front of the Chosen.
Yeah,
of course.
And hold on, they do from your point of view. I only do 2 wounds going in, which I thought was a bit low. And you just smashed me up. Like it wasn't even close.
I did actually. You do. I did take 2 further combat res from regen. You did 2 more wounds to me, actually.
Yeah.
But they were regen back, so it made it, I think you were 5-0 with a standard and 4 wounds to me. And then I did 4 wounds back. And the rule that I said earlier about not crumbling Indomitable meant that I didn't lose any further wounds from it. So I
mean,
I got like
there,
but
15 attacks hitting on 3s, wounded on 4s. I was trying to work out whether I was more optimistic than I should be in that, but I was like, I would have definitely thought doing more than 2 wounds overall.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, hitting on 3s, you hit 10 out of 15 probably, and you wound 5 out of 10. Then I've got probably no armor save or not very much, and then I've got 5 at regen. So yeah, 4 wounds might be all right, actually.
Yeah. 3 or 4. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a spike anyway, and you got at least 2.
Me killing you was a big spike.
Yeah,
me killing you was a big spike.
Coming back at me, so now I'm not looking so good. Looking
no,
so hard.
Your armor saves were woeful in that fight.
Yeah, they were. But anyway, we stick around. And we'll see where we go from there. You go in. You have a pretty bad run in here. You only do 2 wounds to me.
I know, and that was with using the Flail of Skulls, which is like strength 8 on the charge on the first turn.
Yeah, you hit really
only
badly.
AP 1 is admittedly, but yeah, I didn't. Yeah. I think I rolled a lot of 2s to hit or something or other. So yeah, not ideal. And that's technically is only 1 getting through because it's multiple wounds too. So I
Yeah.
only got one of my attacks through.
Yeah,
Silly.
I don't think I do any to you, but I do flee and
No.
get away, or flee in good order, I should say,
Yes. Fall
and
back
get
in good
away.
order. Yeah.
And which is really interesting because now it's my turn next.
Yeah, I was in a
So,
quandary as to whether to come after you or not. But because
mm,
it was your turn, I decided I had to face the music and
yeah.
tempt you to come at me with
So,
your impact hits.
yeah, very, very, very interesting there. Back over to my turn, and this is the gaze of the gods, and I
Ramping up.
also get demonic vigor on the warriors as well. Don't quite get the. I think you dispelled the +1 attack one,
Sure.
which
Yeah.
if it was up to me, I would have gone it the other way round. But
Sure.
yeah, for the extra attack. But yeah, otherwise looking in pretty good spot. And I charge. The warriors
Yes.
needing, I think they needed a 5 or 6. The chosen obviously auto win, and the chariots auto win as well. So fun times to have.
We're going to be
Um,
fighting.
and we pretty much, I mean, the warriors list itself as well. It should be said at this point. We were like, well, it's super easy to play. There's not a lot
Yeah.
going on tactics wise. Let's just move up and charge.
Yeah.
And move up, charge, and kill. They did, but only left 4. Well,
Yeah.
but even
After
after
crumbling.
crumble, left 4
Yeah.
wounds left on one guy, and
Yeah.
there's some counter charges this time.
Oh yeah, there are. It was crazy. I mean, you went through 36 wounds of swarm. I mean, I was like 40 wounds on a unit. That's going to be really
Yeah.
like, even though they are toughness 2, that's still going to be tough to get through. Well, those 2 units can get through them. And you
Yeah.
saw with the last picture how I angled the swarm to try and make it as far as possible for the warriors to get there. But they just rolled what they needed. Fair play. And yeah, just went to town. But I held you, which is what I needed to do.
Very much so. Very much so. And over here, on the charge, I think I rolled 1 for impact hits. I do a wound, I think, but I just die in return, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that was a stupid idea. You can also see as well,
Necrosphinx, baby.
the Necrosphinx is now free.
It is.
To my absolute dismay, charging in a full unit of knights. But anyway, it is what it is, and he's free. Didn't take any wounds this time around. I'm not on the charge, so probably not expected. But yeah, that is my flank's not looking good, and my two units in the middle are getting surrounded, so it's not looking good, folks.
Isolated.
Oh my goodness! And this picture compounds the misery that is the surrounding of the flanks and everything like that. So yeah,
I had to think about this one quite a lot though, because I think, like, in my situation, and this shows like what I ended up going with. In my situation, I had a fair few units that could have charged the front of your units, but this is like reverse Linehammer, when you have to work out what you shouldn't do against Linehammer. Because if I charge anything into your front, you've got an extra 10 models that can attack things. Whereas at the moment, your front rank is only able to attack those minuscule swarms, who I care not about. Whereas charging you in 2 flanks, you've literally got 4 models fighting those flanks, and everything else fighting the swarms. Admittedly, it's actually better that you killed so many wounds on the swarms, because crumbling wise, that means I can't lose by that much from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And meanwhile, I can destroy your flanks bit by bit. And yeah, that is what the intention is. Indeed.
Yeah, so only 1 Tomb Scorpion on the right failed to get in. Otherwise, you just charge things into my flank, which is sucks to be me in terms of the guys surviving. So otherwise, you just move around just to look, and this is pretty much the entire battle in terms of units.
It is. Yeah, everything's in.
After combat, my lord, my general, wanted to challenge, but he wasn't in the right fighting rank in order to challenge the lord, so couldn't issue a challenge. My BSB could. So my BSB challenges to basically allow my chosen to not die. My general goes ahead and kills the swarms
on his own.
On his own, And well, maybe this was when I did the wound. Actually, my BSB goes and does 1 wound to
maybe.
To your dragon.
Oh no, I don't think he did, because I didn't take the hit on the Royal Herald. If it had been in this combat, it would have been taken by the Herald.
Okay.
I already had the wound going.
Sure. Yeah, it would have been. Yeah. So we go ahead. You do 6 wounds plus all the wounds from the BSB. I do 4, 1 on the Tomb Scorpion, and I lose by 3 or 4. I think overall. Counted, because I'm like double. What's it called? Close order.
And you got 2 standards where I got none.
Yeah.
So
it
evens out, but
it did. But it's at this point that we then sat down for half an hour trying to work out the rules.
Yeah, because both of your units fell back in good order, didn't they?
They did.
And because they lost, you rolled enough to not flee, which is good, obviously, because that would have been a leadership 9, or was it 10 on the Lord? I can't remember.
At this point, it is 10.
Yeah, so you rolled enough to be less than that, which meant you weren't fleeing, and you had a roll to make, because obviously you only lost by a few. So you both fell back in good order, and we were like, now what?
Yeah, and the reason it was what you're seeing in there is that the Tomb Swarm are now not in base contact with it. So
there were 2 separate combats.
Technically have 2 separate combats, but when does that become 2 separate combats? And we and the rules aren't explicitly clear, should we say? This is a point we need your help. So pause it.
We do.
Tell us what you think in the comments.
Yes.
Come back
and then see what we actually did and how
this is what we did. And I mean, it does say in the rules that you agree with your opponent in order to keep the game going and flow. So technically, doesn't matter.
Like 3 hours later,
we got it right. Right?
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Right.
Because we agreed it was right. So it was right.
We did. So, we just had to do that.
That's the technicality. This is how we people died. So yeah, we kind of just ended up like that, and we thought it was a happy medium between all the rules and reading. And we, like I said, we were there for like half hour trying to work out exactly what they intended for this situation. But it seemed like quite a niche situation anyway.
I think if it had been 2 units charged in the flank, both falling back in good order back to back, then this is definitely how it would work out. But because of the Tomb Swarms originally linking the combat together, that complicated matters, didn't it?
Yeah, and we didn't know at what point
combat.
Yeah, we didn't know at what point do you separate. And so, if anybody knows the exact rule, let us know in the comments. This is definitely the biggest talking point of this whole battle. So let us know what you think. But this is it. And actually, from Warrior's point of view, we're like, okay, well, if I have a good couple of turns, time. Yeah, we're in. But I'm getting very, very close to that breaking point now, though. So
yes,
it's who can do the most wounds without taking any.
Indeed.
Which I guess is the game.
Well, yes, sure. It is.
Anyway,
that could be the one-liner for the whole description of the game.
Yeah. On to, because we're in combat and there's not else, so you don't charge anything in.
No, well, it's your turn.
It's my turn. That's why.
So that's why I don't charge. Yeah.
So and I go in and actually I do 2 wounds to your Sphinx, 2 wounds to your Scorpion. Sphinx. And then end up crumbling you by 2 after you do 3 to me, and I'm like, oh, okay, we could nick a wound here. But on to the other.
Well, I crumble the Necro Sphinx. Those 2 extra wounds were the regeneration wounds.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
Which meant that the combat res did crumble him actually. So I lose both my units that were fighting the warriors, which is, that's why the flank attack was so much better than the not flank attack of Linehammer. Because although you got the +1 attack and +1 strength on them as well, you got a whole load of spells on those warriors. So they were.
Well, that is just 1 spell, but yeah.
Oh sure, I think my dispel rolls failed me because my high priest is right there. He could have, he was just getting out diced, which is absolutely.
And you can just about see it here as well. In the other one, you challenge so that
I do.
My guy has to, or he loses his attacks. So I accept, and you can just about see that he doesn't take anything, but the guy behind him takes 2 wounds.
Yes. I think you had, how many attacks were you rocking at this point? Was it 10 attacks?
I think it was 10, yeah. Because Demon Sword, and I rolled D3. I think I have 5, plus Frenzy, plus 1. Yeah. So I actually had 11, but it's capped at 10.
Had to be capped at 10, yeah. And so I think, did you only hit with 5? I seem to remember you only hit with 5.
Yeah, I didn't hit well. It's on 3s, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
2 wounds, because I'm strength 8.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah. So I seem to remember that you hit with 5, and I put 4 of them on the Herald, because he's got 5 wounds. So he took 4 of them on the Herald. You only did 2 wounds to the Herald, because he's actually got, well, you've got to wound him as well, and I've got regeneration and stuff. So that's cool. And it meant that the dragon, by the time that one hit got through, just didn't take any damage himself, because the Herald's just taking it all for his buddy. Yeah. Which is cool.
So that ended up, because we were end of combat, being the last picture, and the Necrosphinx, even though he died, did just enough to break me.
Yes.
Although arguably I was getting charged from left, right, and centre anyway. So
we counted it up before I think I had enough.
We counted it up before I had to know whether I should reform or not.
Yes.
And it worked out. I think I was literally to the point, to the unit strength.
Well, you can see my phone in the background. Your unit strength, we think, as we worked it out, was
12.
Well, 4 times that number, 12.25. And I think at this point you had 12 units.
Yeah, what
left,
I mean is it was down to 12. Yeah. So.
Yeah, which is 0.25 less than what it needed to be.
So
it kind of, this scenario does feel a little bit like an anticlimax when you stop right now. It's like, okay, you've got you're broken. Off you go. See you later. We'll see you next time, boys.
Because I mean, those chosen aren't.
They can still do a bit of damage.
Yeah. So, but
I mean, it was actually at the point where I was thinking, do I actually want to charge you with anything else? Because you might just kill me with everything you've got. I probably would have charged the Necrosphinx into the warriors and killed them in flank, or tried to.
Yeah,
I mean, probably not done anything else. I don't think.
There are Nurgle as well, so I don't know. That did help me being like the +1. Obviously, toughness I don't get in your turn, but in this turn, being +1 toughness and Nurgle was great. But anyway, it is what it is. It is. It was pretty close in terms of points. Surprisingly,
but points don't matter in the breaking point game.
Points do not matter, and it was a crashing victory.
Crash.
Crush you. For the Tomb Kings and yourself.
My first, the first ever win in the old world for me.
Yeah,
only what, like 6th, 7th attempt, I think. It was great. I mean, kind of feels like it was the Royal Herald show for me. Although technically he only actually, I suppose the arises and everything were all pretty useful, and the rerolls or the leadership tests, etc. But it did feel like this one worked out quite nicely for me. Right down to the Scorpion getting 1 killing blow monster slayer. Everything just went pretty nicely in this one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think we both agreed it was a good list as well from Tomb
The Royal Herald makes it so much better, and the 40 wounds form in core. That's pretty nice.
But you got look at it. You got like 7, 8 single models.
Yeah. A lot of which can fly.
A bunker, fly in or double move in, or whatever. So like pretty maneuverable, pretty like good synergy everywhere. Level 4, so you're happy.
Yeah.
It was a good list. Similar to the Warriors, it was really similar. The Chimera. I'd like people to tell me on their idea of Chimera.
He's had 2 rough battles, hasn't he? He took a troll hammer torpedo and double scorpion monster slayer.
So I mean, arguably it's a suicide sort of thing. It's a very high risk reward play there, but I don't know. He seems a lot of points. He's nearly as much as that unit of chosen, and I'm like,
I mean, the 2 scorpions are cheaper, so that just shows you how some rules just really outweigh some things.
Crazy rules, But if you want to let us know on these lists and if they're good, please God, are they legal?
And that double, Oh, God, And the double fallback in good order situation. That's no
yeah,
thoughts
for
on
sure.
that, because that one we're very much keen to know. But like Lucky Sixes said at the time, we agreed on that outcome, and that we think is okay.
Well, that's
So,
it. But yeah, so yeah, if there's any Stonewall rule that we've missed, let us know. Otherwise, and this is ways you can do it, obviously with his YouTube and YouTube comments. But please go on our Twitter. Lucky's it's PTG Lucky Sixes. All in the description. So go down there if you fancy it. Facebook, our Patreon. We've had a few new people recently, so that's,
thank
keep
you.
that coming.
They'll be appearing on the list of start of my videos, won't they?
Yeah, very soon. Yeah, when I get around to editing that.
Yeah.
And
But thank you anyway.
Warhol as well is a decent place to practice some of your lists and things online without having the models, so you know what to buy.
Or some of our lists, if you really like them.
Yeah. I've just turned it off. But that is it. I've turned it off because we're near the end. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your continued watching. And yeah, hit us up.
Please do.
And see you next time. See you later.